The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the second day of August. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lenders. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sancha Dorman. Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sancha, it's the second day of the 8th month. How are you feeling today?
I'm good, You're trying to rewind things back in time, huh? You want to come back. Are you missing us already?
Yeah, it was a great weekend. Yeah.
He misses us.
Yep. That's what it is. That's what it is. But I know Sherry misses all of us. Yeah, I know she does. I know she's back in Atlanta, and our presence meant so much over the last 10 days.
You know what I didn't tell you about yesterday?
Uh-oh.
Because we were so caught up on Cop Match and the celebration of Somerset winning.
She just won't let it go. That's like last week. So last week, right?
Well, I'm going to take you back to last week again. I took my son Maddox on a trip. And right before Cop Match, I was like, you know what? We're going to live. There's so much going on. We're going to live. Jamal, we went to see Chris Brown in concert. We went to see MJ the musical. We went to American Dream and rode roller coasters. I had an amazing, from that to Cop Match, I had an amazing week last week.
Where'd you see Chris Brown? MSG?
Well, we were going to go to MSG, and then I had to consider that I had Maddox and, had to make mommy decisions because I wasn't sure about that he was old enough for it, but he was. He ended up going to the Prudential Center in Newark.
Nice. Okay.
But I made sure that I got seats that we were kind of in a space on our own. He was right by the stage, and the poor kid was so speechless. It was just like, Mom, he couldn't, and we could look over and he could see Chris Brown going into his changing room to change. And it was.
He's a big Chris Brown fan, of his music.
Jamal, I'm gonna send you some videos. Maddox dresses Chris Brown. He dances like Chris Brown. His idol between Chris Brown and Bruno Mars.
All right.
Yes.
All right. There you go. No, honestly,
yes.
Man. This is his first concert?
First concert. But I must say, MJ the musical, mind blown.
Yeah.
Mind blown. Talent beyond belief. It was amazing. Maddox is dancing around like Michael Jackson, listening to Michael Jackson songs every day. Every day.
There's nothing like a good musical. I mean, folks, having lived in New York, it's just, if you've lived in New York and you haven't done a musical, the best one I went to was the Temptations one. No, Motown it was called. Motown, not Temptations. But the Motown one, man, I don't think it's on Broadway anymore. But you've got to put it on your bucket list if you've never done it, folks. Seriously. Nothing like a good musical.
Fun fact about myself, I actually used to go to theater school, and I used to do off-Broadway musicals.
You got a little skill.
So I was excited when I took him, and I was a little nervous. I was like, can he sit through 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
But he did, was engaged, and I was like, yes, he loves it.
Yeah, we tried that with my niece. She was only about 2, though, and she started singing along, and she didn't keep still, but She was early too.
Let her rock out.
Yeah. Greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Denise Carey of Home onto the show to discuss homelessness in Bermuda. The daily play is a little more Bermuda trivia. Little more Bermuda trivia, folks. We've got some stuff. So
I'm just going to put it out there with the audience. I am learning with you. You know that when he starts pulling these questions up, I freeze. It's even questions that I know the answer to, but I'm like, is this the right answer? So we're learning together.
I like that. I mean, look, it's like the SATs. Look, we're all in this together. If I don't do well, none of you all do well. It's a community thing here, right? But no, I always say, as fun as it may be, when they get it wrong, it's learning. Like yesterday's question, the responses to it, no one knew that, right? No one knew the answer. And to me, that was great because that's the point. Like we want to be learning new things. We want to be understanding things differently from what we know and don't know. But let's get into today's discussion. So there's been a lot of talk on, since Saturday about the Royal Gazette. The talking about the Royal Gazette has been, people feel a bit slighted that there was no major front page coverage of the Cop Match 2022 Summer Classic. There was a small picture of Jordan De Silva, I think, up in the top right, like the small little thing, champions again. But there was not any major coverage. They had something about Dame Flora Duffy, they had something about the pit bull attack. Obviously, the young ladies lost a life, but a lot of people feel slighted that there was not any major coverage on the front page. So the question of the morning is, how do you feel about the Royal Gazette omitting major front page coverage of Cup Match 2022 on the front page of the paper? How do you feel about that? I mean, is it a big deal to you? Is it not a big deal? Do you feel like it should have been? Does it not matter and it belongs in the sports page? What are your thoughts? Is this the RG being the RG to some people? What are your thoughts? How do you feel about the Royal Gazette omitting major front page coverage on Cup Match 2022 on the front page? What's that? I don't know.
Look, I just crossed my arms.
I don't know, folks.
I'm going to take a long, deep sigh. Jamal.
Sancha.
We go through this every time. And I feel as if at some point, I need the RG to get it right before you're corrected. And I had seen on Facebook where someone had made a comment like, in their defense, maybe, everybody knew Somerset won again. It's not news. We all knew it. Okay, let's say that happened. That is the case. There were Black men that actually had such great achievements during this Cop Match. You had Dion Stubble that got his century. And I don't know anything, like I like cricket, I don't know it. But you had Treadwell, he got his half a century. These men should have been celebrated. Even if it's like Cop Match highlights, let's say we all know Somerset won, but what happened during that game? And this, for me, takes it right back to, we have our Black men in the community. We keep saying, how do we solve these problems? And how about we make them feel special? These are Black men that are actually doing something positive. You have kids that are looking up to them. They are, they're figures within the community. So let's celebrate them. What Flora Duffy was on the front, right? She won another one. In Khaled's voice, another one. We know this. Yeah. She won again. But for Dion Stubble, that was the first time he got 100, and he's been working hard, like you said yesterday. So why can't we celebrate that? We continue to do this.
I guess my question, not necessarily playing devil's advocate, just trying to understand their perspective. And I'm not speaking for the RG at all, folks. Don't get me wrong. Nor do I speak for the BTA. This is just trying to really figure out what their stance may be. Now, could it be that Flora Duffy is professional, major, international, and cop matches amateur, local. I mean, I'm not making an excuse. I'm just trying to ask the question: what would be the logic behind it? I know a lot of people were saying they have the Commonwealth. They have more focus on the Commonwealth Games than our local big Super Bowl kind of event. But I mean, I don't know. Honestly, audience, you have an answer for this. How do you feel about the Royal Gazette major front page coverage of Cup Match 2022 on the front page? I must say that I take Sancha's point. To me, it's bigger than cricket. I feel her point. If it were young black men doing something wrong or getting caught up in something that against the law, they would have been plastered on the front page, right?
Yeah.
There are not too many men who have had centuries in Cup Match. They could have focused on that. They could have focused on Dion had an all-around great game, right? Stubble leads Somerset to yet another near 2-1 or a dominant performance. I don't know, but I do feel they could have done better with this. And it reminds me, if we go back to the race event that the BTA had in April, right?
Exactly.
And again, omitted. This is a major international event. So they can't use the fact that Dan Philadelphia was on, it's a major event, international event, and Cup Match is local, because we had a major international event, right? And was hosted in Bermuda, was viewed on NBC. And there's conclusions that can be drawn by this. And look, you all know I do not criticize the Royal Gazette. I think journalists have a tough enough job the world over, right? But I understand why people think there's some sort of agenda, because that track event was major black athletes, right? Majority black athletes. Cup Match is black athletes.
Yeah.
Let's speak. I'm not trying to draw conclusions. I'm just asking questions here.
But it's even more reason why they should be celebrated. This is not these men's job. Like, they are doing this on the side. You know what I mean? Like, they're taking their time. And I see when these guys train. I mean, I don't see how cricket works, but I look at football season. They're training hard. They're not being paid for this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's more reason why we should be celebrating them in this space. Give them something.
Yeah, indeed. Folks, question of the morning. How do you feel about the Royal Gazette, the only daily in Bermuda, omitting major front page coverage of Cup Match 2022 on Saturday's paper? Michelle White says, there was a lot going on this weekend. If they were torn with what to put on the front, they could have set highlights on the front, then directed to go inside and each have their own page, right? In the sports section. Well, again, they did have a very small part in the top right. They did. It was a very small part.
I mean, they could have shared the front page. We could have had Flora. We could have been like Weekend of Sports.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we could have split it evenly. No bias. Yeah.
It's a tough one, because like I said, the Royal Gazette probably looked at it like, this is major international event. This is local amateur cricket. That's how they could have looked at it. Then the flip side is, well, what happened in April, right? That their argument for that could say, well, there were no major Bermudian athletes. And then you'd be like, well, no, DH Miners ran a damn good race in that race. Let's go to the comments. And Nikki Hartman says, news outlets have a responsibility to record and report current events which become history for future generations. Plain and simple. Mia Hartman says, has the reg ever celebrated anything or anytime black? No. Why do we continually get surprised? I mean, they have. They have. I think they do it. I have a joke. It's not funny, but it's a joke. Maybe it was Dexter Smith's decision because he's a St. George's fan and a former St. George's player. A very good one at that. I'm joking, but
listen, you St. George's people continue to target us.
I just had to. Traveling Trotty says newspapers traditionally write stories to their base readership. Maybe that is why it does what it does. This is true. You cater to the people that you know, buy into your product or service, right?
I think they should start catering to the people that stopped buying their product.
Wow. Do you have a point?
Sorry, I
You have
said
a point? No, you have a
it.
point. You
There's
have a
so
point.
many people that have decided not to buy the Royal Gazette anymore because of the things that are printed and situations like this.
Well,
You know?
here's the thing for me. The Royal Gazette doesn't bother me like it bothers a lot of people. I rarely have issues with how they go about doing business. And I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, I accept that some things just aren't for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use Bermuda, for instance. I don't go on Bermuda because we pretty much receive the same news as Bermuda, the press releases.
Right.
Rarely do they do any, stories. This isn't to say Bermuda is bad or I don't like it. I just have no need for it, right? There's nothing I'm going to find there I can't find anywhere else. I don't look at people's social media pages. So why am I going to go to just look at people's pictures? Like, I don't care to look at your pictures. Like, I'm not going to say weird, but I'm just not into that. So that stuff doesn't faze me. So I actually do read the Royal Gazette because it's the only form of print journalism we have in Bermuda. And that's, again, no slight to Bermuda at all. But if I'm looking for a unique story, I would go there. Now, do I pull the little bit of follicles I've got left in my hair out sometimes when reading stuff? Absolutely. Do I have issues? Absolutely. Would I send Dexter Smith a message? Absolutely. Right. But again, it doesn't bother me because I have to say this. I think the Royal Gazette is a necessary evil. I think media is a necessary evil. It's the vehicle of us being able to get messages across. Now, does that mean I agree with everything they do? It doesn't mean I agree with anything they do. It just means that it's a source for me to get information to understand what I'm probably trying to gather. That's it. So in saying that, does it bother me on Saturday? I'll be very honest.
No.
What I don't know can't bother me. I wouldn't have known if people wouldn't have came on social media because I don't look at the front page. I don't live there. So I literally will go on the website and read news stories, whatever pops to me. So what doesn't exist to me can't bother me. But I completely understand why people are bothered by it. And to Sancho's point, which I don't believe we emphasize enough, and to Traveling Trotter's point, the media, Malcolm warned us about the media a long time ago, He warned us. You go see what Malcolm X said about it. I forget right now.
I was just gonna say, because it's our only source of print media, they have an obligation to do better, and we need to demand better. You know what I mean? Because we're only going to be given what we allow. I just had a comment come through from Kathy Oldboy. She said that she was disappointed. All the news media spoke of Flora Duffy all day, but no, she's not surprised.
Well, I'll take another shot. The governor of Bermuda, Rena Lagley, Her Excellency, she posted on her Twitter about Flora Duffy. I noticed her absence from Cop Match, but nothing on Twitter about Cop Match. So I take more issue with that by the governor than I do the Royal Gazette. No happy Emancipation Day or Merry Prince to Bermuda, but you give honor to Dame Flora Duffy. And again, I have no problem with that. I'm happy for Dame Flora Duffy. I'm happy for Bermuda. Like, this is a person we need to cherish and celebrate. My point is, why one and not others?
Maybe, playing devil's advocate, she is, she's new to our country, and maybe that's what she's being shown and what she's being told is important.
This would be her second Cop Match.
Yeah.
She's well aware. She's been on this show. She's well aware that she
I
can
tried.
do better. She can do better. Sam Cat Place says, if we had quality journalists that did proper research that was all inclusive, then reader traffic would increase. Save your peace and money. It doesn't faze me much. Traveling Trotty says RG is a business and does what they do in its best business interest. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have a question. We're talking
Mhm,
about RG.
mhm,
Got another message.
mhm.
Did Bermuda celebrate Cup Match? Or was this just like, did they have this as like a front page, let's celebrate Somerset winners? So
Oh,
are we
I
getting,
couldn't tell you. I know Bernice
yeah,
took a lot of pictures, but I honestly couldn't tell you.
right.
It's hard with a website though, because website
Mm,
everything's based on stories. As you put up new stories, the others drop and
right,
so on. So
right.
I mean, if the Royal Gazette operated like that, I'm sure they would have had Cup Match
Yeah,
up and it
been
would have
able to
dropped
do
as well.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
but I honestly,
Yeah,
and again, no slight to them. I just don't. I don't go
right.
on there. Sam Cat Place says the deputy governor was on the broadcast for Cup Match. If that helped, yeah, I saw him too. I think it was him, the white guy. I think I saw him. Um, if that helps. Anyway, let's bring Leanna in. See if Lee, this is her space. She's a journalist. She's been in that space, and I don't know, maybe
Explain to us, Lee. Help us out.
yeah.
Give us a bit of understanding.
Educate us, right, Sancha?
Yes.
Good morning, Lee. How are you?
I love being put on the spot first thing this morning. Morning, guys. Morning,
Good
audience.
morning.
Second day of the greatest month of the calendar year. So, we're excited.
She had to.
But no. Okay, to be serious. It always breaks my heart when I don't see our biggest cultural events being celebrated and reported on the way it
Mhm,
should. It's the talk of the town for the entire weekend.
mhm,
It's Cup Match holiday. We look forward to this big event, this sporting event, and it is the biggest on the island for the calendar year. So in my personal opinion as a journalist, like I reported yesterday, that's my first story. Many other things did take place. I made sure to mention Dame Flora Duffy and her accomplishments, but
mhm,
you start at home. When you
mhm,
look at other media sources around the world, what do? For the most part, they start at home and what's going on
mhm,
in their country, right? Whether it's presidential elections or if it is big sporting events or whatnot, they usually start at
mhm,
home. So,
mhm,
yeah, definitely, I feel like it's our journalistic duty to be
mhm,
able to first report and, like we say, the good stuff. We
mhm.
know that bad news runs media on a
Yeah.
daily. So
Headlines, you know.
headlines, so it's nice to actually wake up one morning and say, look at the great things, like you guys have been saying,
Yeah.
that Bermudians are doing here on the island.
I just want to make a correction because Traveling Trotty says it's a major local event and the governor should have been present for her first one. This is not her
Not
first
her
one.
first one. Yeah.
Last year would have been her first one.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
although it wasn't, it was a restricted Cup Match. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she was definitely
She
present.
was in attendance last
Yes.
year.
So this was not her first one. All right, Lee, let's get over to your news break. Hopefully you've got some good stuff for us. No sad news, right, Lee? Okay, I'm sorry.
Like, I can't promise that, Jamal.
I
Let me
can't
do my
promise
job.
it, but it'll end on a good note. That's what I've been trying to do lately.
All righty. We've got Denise Carey from Home coming on after the news break, folks. Do not go anywhere.
Thanks, Jamal and Sancha, and good morning to all of those who are tuned in with us today. That's tuned in, I said. I hope you all are having a great start to your day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Well, several businesses were engulfed in. I'm sorry, several businesses, including a neighboring department store, were made to evacuate yesterday after firefighters were called to tackle a blaze which broke out at a building on Church Street. Now, emergency services attended the Pickle Barrel building at 26 Church Street, across from the City Hall and bus terminal, shortly after 8:30 a.m., where they had encountered smoke engulfing engulfing from the storefront windows. Now, police had closed off the street while firefighters managed to quickly extinguish the blaze. There were no reported injuries, and the cause of the fire was said by the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Services to be under investigation. In other news, a relatively quiet and peaceful holiday weekend for the island's law enforcement, as police officials reported that there were 31 people arrested for various offenses over Cup Match, including 4 for possession of bladed articles. Now, according to a police spokesperson, majority of arrests during robust policing over a largely incident-free holiday weekend were for outstanding warrants, with 16 people detained. Now, 2 arrests were for possession of controlled drugs believed to be cannabis. Meanwhile, traffic checkpoints announced in advance of the holiday resulted in 5 arrests for driving while impaired at locations across the island. In addition, there were 2 arrests for breach of peace, 2 for threatening words, 1 for willful damage, and 1 for burglary. Now, Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police James Howard had highlighted the growing trend raised recently by Assistant Commissioner Antoine Daniels of young people arming themselves with knives and other bladed articles for protection and going out in public. And a huge congratulations to the Bermuda under 15 girls football team who played against Anguilla yesterday, recording an impressive 3-0 victory. Now, the match is part of the 2022 CONCACAF Girls Under 15 Championship, which is taking place in Tampa. And Empress O'Loughlin, which scored the first goal for Bermuda. Eva Tuzo scored the second goal, and she then followed up with her second goal of the match to give Bermuda the 3-0 victory. So congratulations to our ladies who are doing so well overseas. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 87 and a low near 79 degrees. It is another bright but humid morning. The Bermuda Azores high continues to control our area, providing largely fine and dry conditions with a light breeze. Now, an inverted trough nears through midweek, bringing a few cloudy spells and the increased likelihood of a few showers. Our humidity stands at 81% today. That's all for our Daily Hour news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Now let's head back to Jamal and Sancha in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
Thanks so much for that, Lee. And folks, I know someone had typed earlier about the young ladies. Marquita Lee, congratulations to the under 15 girls 3-0 win yesterday. They need their props too. Well, here's the thing. We don't know everything Leanna's going to report, but I'm pretty sure I know Leanna well enough to know that she's going to do that. So one of the things that we try to do is, if we know she's going to report on something, we try not to talk about it or mention it. So thank you for your comment, but our lady, she knows what she's doing. All right. I literally had this chat with Maya and Leanna last week. Like, I was you guys realize I kind of act so that we're not talking up like, if she was going to report about something, we don't want to make the entire conversation discussion about that. So just bear with us. Bear with us.
I appreciate that observation, Mal.
Yeah, it's a method to the madness. It's a method to the madness. Trust me, Sancha, I know you've got a days of the year for us, right?
I do. Now, I said to myself, start August 1st, I was going to be healthy and I was going to try to, you saw me going for that run last night. But today is National Ice Cream Sandwich Day. Did any of you get to Scoops over this weekend to try these ice cream sandwiches?
I know Sherry kept saying she's going.
I'm so upset. I did not.
You gotta ask Sherry if she went, because I know she kept saying she was going.
I'll try them for you and Sherry. That's so fun. That's absolutely fine. I'll be the guinea pig.
I'm gonna tell you one more time. It's become my weakness. These homemade chocolate chips with this homemade ice cream inside of it. Today is National Ice Cream Sandwich Day. Go get you an ice cream sandwich.
All right, Scoopsy. Folks, you heard
it. She put it out there.
Ice cream sandwich day. You get yours in. Get yours in.
I'm gonna make a note in my phone to remember to go after work today. I will not miss this again.
Yes.
Lee, we'll see you soon.
See you guys
Have a great
soon.
Day.
Have a good show.
All righty. Leanna Lambert, folks. Oh, ice cream sandwich. Sancha knows what I'm waiting on. I'm
Wow.
just gonna leave it at that. She knows what I'm waiting on.
Listen, and we're gonna have a vegan option for you.
All right, there we go, folks. There we go.
Yes.
Do not go anywhere. We've got Denise Carey coming up. We are having a very important conversation. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, we had a discussion about homelessness in Bermuda. Now we have an expert to, focus on it. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors, and not to mention the support stockings.
Karen, Miss Salter's bet her bet again.
Oh gosh, these days, I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandytown Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
All righty, welcome back to the big show. Sancha Durham, I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed on our website so you don't miss a chance for updates, promotions, prizes, and more. Maybe we'll give away an ice cream sandwich one day. Also, if you're on the go and can't watch, that's okay. Download the BCG Radio app, available for both Android and Apple devices, and you can listen to us every single time we go live. All right, without further ado, let's bring in our important guest of the day. We've got Denise Carey from Home. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jamal. Good morning, Sancha. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming.
Joining us.
Yeah, usually when we talk about people behind their backs, when they're not present, they don't show up. But it was good stuff. It was good stuff. But no, thank you for taking the time to come on. Obviously, we saw an article in the World Gazette some weeks ago, and we felt that this topic's not discussed enough. We felt that we were not, the general public, educated about it. So thank you for doing this. And let's just start. For those who don't know, what is Home?
Home is a registered charity dedicated to ending homelessness in Bermuda. Our mission is quite simple, and that is that every single person has the basic human right of being able to have affordable housing, safe housing, reliable housing. That's our mission.
Okay. And what's the history of the organization? Is it who was it just something created last year because of the need?
Absolutely. Our board chair, Arthur Whiteman, was the brainchild in establishing Home. He has an amazing vision and strategies for us to not only identify, but to address homelessness. I think from our end, it was an easy sector in order to focus on, because homelessness is not discussed enough, and there definitely are not enough resources in place to support and address it. So Home was a registered charity last year, and actually today is my 1-year anniversary of working with the organization. And throughout the period of time, the last couple of months, we've onboarded 4 case managers. We have a head of operations. We have an amazing milieu staff. In addition to that, a very dedicated board.
Congratulations on 1 year, by the way. We love when people spend their special days with us.
Absolutely.
But what just for those who don't know, because we can speculate, when we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, I think some people thought it was the cost of living. And I said that, during my time in Rhode Island, I actually volunteered at a homeless shelter. And it was then that I learned that many of the people in that homeless shelter were people who outgrew what's it called, aged out of foster homes. There were people with mental illness, and there's these misconceptions of homelessness the world over. But what has led to homelessness in Bermuda for most people?
In particular, it's access and affordability. And by affordability, literally, people are not able to afford the high rates that are asked for the apartments. Some of them are situational. It could have been because of a loss of someone that they loved and that resulted in a deep depression. It could have been due to eviction. In addition to the aging out, individuals have moved into emergency shelters that have turned into 10, 12 years. You have seniors who own property, but due to dementia or other situations, they may not be able to live independently. You have individuals who are in Department of Corrections preparing to come back into the community, and there's no housing available for them. There are individuals who have lived in Bermuda their entire adult life who are non-Bermudian, and because again of situations, whether it be death or divorce, they have no country to go back to, and they can access financial support. And then there are individuals who are living couch surfing, the hidden homeless. And again, it's situational with 1 or 2 children, and you just can't make ends meet.
I mean, you listed off so many things that one would not have even considered. And I don't think there's one particular issue, which is, again, some people think it's that narrow, but I think it's not. It's wide. And what I took from what you just said is that it can impact anyone at any time. It's something that we can't discriminate and act like it's just those people,
Yes, absolutely.
If you have any questions or comments for Denise, please send them through. We'll try to get through as many questions as possible. Obviously, people are sending you congrats and kudos, Michelle and Sean Smith, on your 1-year anniversary. What is your organization's plan to tackle homelessness in Bermuda?
Our plan is to create one coordinated plan that allows for us as a community to work together to not only identify, but resolve. It includes creating transitional housing, respite housing, permanent long-term housing, creating one front door so that individuals who are homeless or on the pathway can be assessed correctly so that we can identify what all of their needs are, because the bed is just one small part. And then providing intense case management services to assist them not only with transitioning into secure housing, but also maintaining that. And everyone that enters our services, they come in at different levels. There are some people who are very familiar and comfortable with managing an apartment, and they've been evicted, so they may just need that immediate, all right, we need somewhere to live. But then other people come in with very complex needs. And that shows itself not only with the rough sleepers and the person's aging out, it's across the whole spectrum of the 13 subsections of homelessness.
Wow. So according to the Royal Gazette, Holmes said that 555 people were identified as homeless at the end of 2021, compared to just 138 in 2016. How concerning is this increase?
It's a crisis. It is a crisis, especially as it's disproportionately represented by our Black men, who have a very difficult time not only accessing services, but stepping into them and being able to follow it through right to secure housing. This is going to impact our community financially. In addition to, it's going to impact our social network. Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So, I was having a conversation with Jamal earlier, and I was saying, so I am in town every morning, and where I am working, when I was younger, I was always able to say, well, we don't really have homelessness in Bermuda because it wasn't in your face. But now, as you're walking through town, you have people that have actually chosen, like, this is my spot, this is my doorway, as you see kind of in the US, and this is where they're sleeping. We're actually stepping over them to try to get into the door mornings. And, police have been called to try to remove them. What is it that we can do as a community to help to solve this problem? Because even with the tourists, like, we see them, walking down the sidewalk, begging the tourists and making them feel uncomfortable. I don't think that they're trying to harm them, but it does leave a sour taste. Like, what can we do as a community to help this situation?
The first thing that we can do is stop paying individuals to be homeless. And by that, I mean, individuals go to Marketplace, they stand outside of the annex because they know that we're going to pay them to be there. We need to stop giving money and stop providing food because that does not help them other than for that immediate short term. We need to encourage individuals to get up and go to places like the Cathedral or Christ Church in Warwick, or every day there are entities providing complimentary food. So that's the first step, is getting people to get up and move on and receive services.
It's interesting you mentioned that because, again, I was sharing off air with Sancha about my experience at a business in Bermuda last week, where, I have this soft spot and we're told not to do what you exactly said just now. I haven't even volunteered, at a homeless shelter. Like, we're taught and told not to do that. But it's like something in me just is like, this person needs this. But I've grown to understand that, you don't give them the money. You would go and, purchase it with them or for them. But that said, how do you deal with those people who have soft spots? I mean, New York hardened me up. I'll be honest. Living in New York City hardened me up a bit. Like, you'd be broke if you gave to everyone that asked you. But how do you convince people? How do you get people to understand that it's not in their best interest, the person who's asking's best interest, and the community's best interest?
Okay. Well, I'll start with some of the individuals who are panhandling in the city make hundreds of dollars per day. How about that? People hand some of them $100 bills. I cannot compete with that. So it starts with, this well needs to run dry. And then I would encourage individuals to find an organization, whether or not be Home or another charitable organization, and commit your funds to that, to the plan as opposed to the today. Feeding somebody today is great, but that's not the issue. You can find food anywhere. This is Bermuda. As a community, we need to decide that we are ready to heal and we are ready to move on. And in order to do that, it's going to require some tough love, but love nonetheless, and a coordinated effort. So yeah, I'm going to need you to be that tough parent and say no, so that we can get them up.
Indeed.
I have one other question. Has there ever been a thought to move out of the city of Hamilton to maybe feed them elsewhere, to kind of drive this away from the city?
My response would be, as it relates to access to food, being in the city is the hub. It's easiest to go that way. And if we move them out of the city, where are we moving them? I hear that quite often, move them, but move them where?
If you have any questions or comments for Ms. Denise Carey, you can send them through. Sean Smith's asking, do you work with Habitat Bermuda regarding housing? Do you work with any other organization to aid you in achieving your goals?
Absolutely. The notion of a one plan for our community means that all of us play a part, and that includes the other charitable organizations. Our plan is to work together.
All right. Michelle White's asking, how does Home encourage people in need to actually seek help?
That's a good question. We start through relationship building. Our case managers are out on the street every single day. They are going through graveyards, golf courses, railway trails. We got reports all the time of individuals who are sleeping outside. So we start with developing a relationship with them. Our first contact isn't come on and move in. It's, hey, how you doing? What do you need right now? We'll go and get you something to eat. Then we'll go back a couple of times to kind of get an idea of what that individual's needs are, and then start working with them like that. Some people want to come inside right away. Some people create a date in the calendar and they say, you can come get me on this date, so that they can kind of have their own transition inside. And then others, they're not ready.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Michelle White says, suggestion, maybe arm the public with Home business cards. And instead of giving money or food, we can give them a card. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. I will tell you that the homeless population have a very strong communication system. They know. They've met us. We go out all the time to introduce them to us. They are very much aware of the services that we provide. So at this point, it's their responsibility to earn their transition and coming inside and take that first step.
I want to go back to the community part because, again, homelessness rise in that amount. And I'm not a math person, so I'm not even going to guess percent-wise how much it's risen in that 5-year period. But there's a community in Bermuda where we go to work, go home, sit on our couch, turn on. Do people still watch Young and the Restless? Like whatever it is, the stories, whatever, and just relax, and that's life for them, right? While this problem, and look, folks, every time I visit Bermuda, I am reminded of how small it is. Like it's a very small place, but I'm just not sure. How do we get Bermuda to understand that a problem like this that's growing does impact them? Like what can we do? Because if we don't do our part in the community, we can't just go to work and ignore it like we do the violence that's continuing to happen, or the road fatalities. This is another thing that to me should be in there. How do we get people to pay attention, to understand that this is going to be impacting the way they live as well?
Absolutely. From a financial standpoint, individuals who are homeless that say, for example, move into KEMH, and if they go in and they're unable to be released because now they're a diabetic and so they need insulin, they need that fridge, that individual who is homeless is living in KEMH at a cost of $1,000 per day.
Ooh.
And so for the taxpayer, you are paying $30,000 per month for an individual to live in KEMH because we as a community are unable to work together to coordinate to create a plan to end homelessness. So that's the first point. And there's not one or two. We're talking about potentially 20, 30 individuals. So we're paying $600,000 a month. We could buy 2 houses within a 3-month period and move those individuals out. But we need that coordination, we need that leadership, and we need the commitment from every member of the community.
Wow. The cost of living often comes up, and you mentioned that among many other things is something that leads to it. But when transitioning, when people are, going through the home phase, right? What is the relationship with not just other entities, but the government in that respect? Because I know that a few years ago, there was a lot of noise being made in the public about the amount of derelict homes, right? Are there any plans with government or the Bermuda Housing Corporation to kind of see if any of these derelict homes can be used to house people as a part of the transition period?
The government is very open, I believe, to addressing the homelessness issue. There are a number of properties that, like you said, need considerable repair. So that, again, is going to take a collaborative effort, the public-private partnerships, in order to modify these homes so that they are able to be lived in.
And one of the last point, and it goes back, and Michelle White actually wrote, "The purpose of my idea is to empower the public, give us a means of managing our contact with the homeless." The card can have a message that says, "I care about whom cares more," collective messaging. But I want to talk empowerment, because I always believe, my mandate, I say it on the show often, empowerment over charity. I think there's a component, and I guess where I'm asking is, you mentioned the public-private partnership. Other relationships there for to be built with private entities, maybe one of the exempt companies and some local companies, businesses who create partnerships with you to say, hey, we need cashiers, or we need custodians in our building or something. Are relationships like that being built, or is there a possibility so that we can transition people into businesses and companies so that they can be empowered to kind of transition away and maintain it? That's the key to it, maintaining it.
Yeah. Absolutely. There is opportunity to develop relationships with private organizations from a mentoring perspective. Everybody needs that support, but also bringing them in, assisting with human resources, assisting with retooling and redevelopment, ultimately part-time or full-time permanent employment. It's going to be necessary, but it's a very important step. Say, for example, you mentioned individuals down on Front Street. They're very committed, We need to create opportunities for them to assist with cleaning the bathrooms throughout the city, or emptying the trash within the city, or keeping the car parks clean. They have strong relationships with Front Street, some of them. And so maybe we just need to change how we are looking at them and their role with Front Street. How amazing would it be if we did bring them inside, reskill them, give them uniforms, so the Front Street that they used to mess up, they're now down there taking care of it. That's what we need to work towards, allowing them and supporting them and finding purpose in the place where they feel most comfortable.
How can people, obviously it seems like people have ideas. How can people get in touch with you and your team to learn more, to be able to offer their services maybe? And some may have opportunities to work with some of those who are utilizing your services.
Yes, absolutely. Well, my email address is denise@home.bm. And we also have the website, home.bm, where you can access all of the staff who are on our team, their contact information. But I would like to invite the community to come in and get to know us and get to know the homeless population. They are some of the most resilient, compassionate, hardworking individuals that I have ever met in my life. They are funny, they are resourceful, and they are very motivated. I think that the 15 or so individuals that we see regularly on Front Street, we think that represents the homeless population. It does not. We have master's levels individuals, we have chefs, we have masons and plumbers, and individuals that have become homeless due to situation only, but they're very committed to coming inside and playing their role within this community. We have individuals who are fathers, who we would like to get back to their families, who are grandfathers, who have a very important role to play in this community. And so I'm looking forward to the coming years, whereas we're able to bring everybody inside.
All righty. Thank you. Honestly, appreciate the conversation, the information.
Thank you for having me.
It's helpful. This is why we have experts come on to share this and to see what we as the community can do to help empower these individuals as they transition. We all go through periods in our lives. Some transitions different from others. Kathy Rogers says, appreciate this conversation. Sounds like the community needs more awareness. So Denise, thank you to you and your team for what you're doing. And please know that our doors are wide open should you need a platform in the future.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you to Bermuda. Welcome home, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you.
All right, Denise Carey from Home. Folks, if you appreciated that conversation, found it helpful, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share these conversations, water cooler, family. While you're playing Bermuda Trivia and you get no side conversations, this is one of those conversations that you definitely want to make sure that you're having. Do not go anywhere. We've got some Bermuda Trivia coming up. And you don't want to miss this one. I don't think the audience is going to get this one.
This is like your get back.
Yeah,
this is how you poke me. It's like, all that Somerset stuff. I got one for you.
Yeah, and no ice cream sandwich at Scoops for me yet, folks. But all of you, she's got something for all of you. So make sure you go check out Scoops. We'll be right back. Stick with us.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
I'm part of the SSCP, giving us opportunities to go out and sell, which is what I'm doing today.
One of the most important things I learned in the SSCP is that failure is just a part of being an entrepreneur.
As a vocal community, then you can't go anywhere, can you? I just believe it's a really beautiful and amazing experience for everybody.
A lot of late nights being up, trying to finalize things, especially for me.
You don't have to do everything at once. Little steps is the key to success.
They helped me go through every step of the way.
It has helped me gain more confidence, so that's one thing.
I'm Marley Spriggs and I am an entrepreneur.
My name is Joshua Allen and I am an entrepreneur.
My name is Trey Robinson Richards and I am an entrepreneur. My name is Namira Rayner and I am an entrepreneur.
My name is Vincent Darrell and I am an entrepreneur.
I'm Shayla Swan and I'm an entrepreneur.
I am Sophia Paxenhan. I am an entrepreneur.
My name is Zion and I'm a young entrepreneur.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. She's Central Durham. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour. Thanks again to One Communications, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and also thanks again to our guest today, Denise Carey, for sharing the information about what her organization Home is doing to reduce homelessness in Bermuda. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol, and Bermuda Trivia now available for purchase at Somerset Pharmacy, People's, Flying Colors, and Caesars Pharmacy. Oh, as well as Robertson's and now Brown & Co. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Sandra, are you ready?
Sherry has Bermuda Trivia game, right?
Yeah, she does.
Sherry, I'm waiting for the answer.
Oh, this question isn't in volume 1, actually. So okay. It's not in there. Here we go.
Okay, let's have it.
In 1937,
gosh,
the leader of the Universal Negro Improvement Association arrived in Bermuda and was denied permission to come ashore. Who was this leader?
I don't know, Jamal.
Help her out, folks.
I don't know. Someone send me a message.
In 1937, the leader of the Universal Negro Improvement Association arrived in Bermuda and was denied permission to come ashore. Who was it? Oh, wow. They all got it, actually.
They got it?
They all got it.
Marcus Garvey.
Marcus Garvey, yes. Wow. Michelle White said Paracon, but wow. This audience, you all are brilliant. Honestly, you all... Honestly, Sancha, I didn't expect. You all
awesome.
Man, you all showing up. You are showing up. Yeah, it's Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey.
I love it.
Now, I know someone mentioned Farrakhan, but that was another year. It did. I believe it did happen to Louis Farrakhan as well in the past. But Marcus Garvey, yeah, he was denied ashore. Basically, why do you think? I mean, he was considered, I guess, too radical, politically dangerous. And most of all, the government or leaders at the time feared the message of the self-determination for Black people, or as they said back then, of Negro people. So, yeah, it was Marcus Garvey, denied entry into Bermuda because, he was all about empowering Pan-Africanism, Africans across the globe. Yeah. Interesting fact, right?
Nice.
Final thoughts on today's show, Sancha. What you got? Daily front page. We've got homelessness. What you got for us?
Yeah. So homelessness. Actually, let's go to front page. Obviously, you know how I feel about this. I feel like at the end of the day, we need to start, as Leanna said, at home first. And we need to celebrate these men, these Black men that are doing amazing things and paving the way for future generations, because a whole 20 years from now, these are the men that we're going to be talking about in our history at Cop Match. But we're not finding the space to celebrate them. So, yeah, and Miss Denise, her passion was like you could feel it coming through, and I'm glad that we had that conversation because admittedly I had drawn opinions, whereas like I said, I see these people down on Front Street every day, and sometimes it becomes annoying for me. I'm like, ask me for another dollar, you know. I am guilty of saying, well, I can buy you something, but I'm not going to give you the money. And I've learned today that I need to just leave it alone. And if I want to put my resources into something, go and donate to him or, volunteer there. So thank you for that. And like I said, her passion, you felt it. So she was very informative today.
Yeah. I as far as the Royal Gazette front page, I think Traveling Trotty said it earlier. At the end of the day, it's a private business that they're catering to their readership, and if that's what their readership prefer, then that's where they go. Unfortunate, disappointing, being it's the only daily, but you know what? That's why the Daily Hour exists, so that we can celebrate. And if all those people choose to get mad at the RG instead of tuning in and engaging with us, that's on them, because we're going to hype our people, our events, and everything up.
Exactly.
Again, it's why we exist. As far as Denise Carey, I appreciate when people like her come out and actually share the facts, and that's Pause in the background. Pause wants to get in on the conversation, folks. He obviously wants in and understands what we're talking about. But I appreciate her bringing the I guess a truth of what leads to homelessness. I think we kind of have this thought process that people who are homelessness are lazy, they don't want to work, they're drug addicts, but there's so many things that lead to it, so many things, and I think we need to be very conscious of this when we are, see someone homeless, and instead of passing such judgment, try to understand and think about what ways we can empower them and to help them transition to a better space. Sanchi, you've got some daily inspiration for us? Or pause as you on mute.
Listen, between the dog and the truck and the child and I'm still here. Yes, I do, guys. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. And that is by C.S. Lewis.
I like that. I like that. Well, folks, it's that time again, but we've got to do it. We've got to do it. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. And we've got the former Speaker of the House, former professional athlete, former Cop Match captain, the Honorable Randy Horton, stopping by. Anyway, she's Sancha Dorm. I'm Jamal Hartman. Make it a safe and great day. She still doesn't have a mug, and I'm going to rub it in.